Hello, and welcome to my app that helps you record and analyze your Archery data. So this is the dashboard. It shows you your overall performance over time. You can also zoom into specific sessions as well as specific ends within that session. Yeah, the first part of the dashboard is this part, which is the score. It is quite straightforward. It basically shows for each shot I made within the session, what is my score. And you can also see the mean, okay, which is for my case in this session is 6.917, which is not that good. Okay, so the next part is this part which shows you how often you hit above the center. So as you can see here, I tend to hit below the center. So because the number is negative. Mm. So this part is quite similar to here, just that it shows you how often you hit to one side. And as you can see, I tend to hit a bit to the right. Mm. And then we move on to the more colorful parts. Here it shows all the recorded shots within that session by sequence. Okay, as you can see the numbers. And then so here is the heat map. So the bigger the circle is, it shows that I hit there more often. So as you can see, the bigger circles here for this session tend to be closer to the center. So this is a good sign. Mm. And then moving on to here. Okay, so I should triple 40 cm target with my compound bow. So I usually do 3 shots. So here you can see like within a average 3 shot set, which shot is usually best. So as you can see, the first shot is usually the best one for me. And as I progress to the second and third shot, probably I get more tired and then I lose some accuracy. As for the last chart, let me just move to all sessions. Okay, the last graph is relevant only if you number your arrows because each arrow may be a bit different. So over time, this graph will be able to tell you which are your most accurate arrows. Okay, so here in the sessions tab, right, you can see all the recorded sessions. So for each session, you get to see things like target type, distance, score, and even the attire you wore during that session. But the more discussion worthy part is the arrows used in sequence. Okay, so every session I use 3 arrows, such as for 13 April, I use arrows 7, 8, and 9. And then for 17 April, I use arrows 4, 5, and 6. So the problem at this point, right, is the arrows 7 and 4, okay, will always appear more accurate in the analysis here. Okay, see arrows 4, which is accurate, and 7, which is also very accurate. So the reason being is that they serve as the first arrows in all the sets during these 2 sessions. And as you know, first arrows in a set are usually more accurate, right? You can see here. So this gives a false sense of accuracy for arrows 4 and 7. So how do we address this, right? Is that we have a graph here that helps you ensure that every arrow gets equal chances to play arrows 1, 2, and 3. So if you reach a point where all the bars are fairly equal, that means the data here is accurate because every arrow gets equal chances to play arrows 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, so moving on, when you add a session, okay, you get to input stuff like date, target type, distance, venue, time of day, okay, whether it is too bright for eyes and all, as well as crowdedness. All this can affect your accuracy, as well as can input all the attire details. So the thing is, because most variables here, right, are likely to be similar from session to session because you're likely to go to the same range, shooting the same distance, wearing the similar clothes. So there's a convenient feature here, which is called copy from previous session. So once you click this, you can see data is auto-populated from the data in the previous session. So this really helps you save time and reduce errors in data entry. And here is where you input your shots. As you know, I usually shoot the triple 40 cm compound. So I usually have only 3 arrows per end. And then I shoot 11 ends. So that means uh, for this session, I shoot 11 sets of three arrows shot within each set. Yeah. Okay. So and on this side, you can choose the session that this shot belongs to. Okay, and then you can also choose the bow that you were using during this shot, and as well as your release and your form and everything. So all these things are uh, you can manage them uh, in a settings tab. Yeah. So okay. So let me just input some data. Okay. So let me put this the first end and the first arrow within that end, and I use the first arrow within that end, yes, and I use the arrow called arrow number one, and then let's say that I have a perfect score. Okay, so I'll just add shot. Okay, so now you can see the progress bar moving, and then the now is the second arrow for this end, and I'll use the arrow number two, and it's also a perfect score. Okay, so let me go to the third arrow within that end, using arrow number three, and then let's say I'm less accurate here. I'll be score 7. So here you can actually move the sliders, okay, to reflect the offsets. Okay, and then as you move the sliders, you can double check the diagram to make sure you are inputting correctly. Okay, so at this point, the next n will be 2, but because I use the same 3 arrows, okay, in the exact same order, so the system actually remembers for me uh, how I map each uh, arrow with the actual arrow that I use. So let's check this out. Okay, so it automatically increments the n to the second n, and then it will, because this the first arrow of the second n. That's why the system remembers that it's the first uh, arrow order, as well as because just now I already told the system that the first arrow order uses arrow one, so the system actually remembers and helps me input all these things. Yep. So let's say I put 10. Okay, so 10 would be uh, towards the center. Okay, see automatically increments to 2, as well as because the system knows that is the arrow 2 is being used for the second arrow order. That's why it's automatically fills in this part. Okay, add another shot, 3 3. So as I move to n number 3, you can see all these things map back nicely again. So these things helps to prevent human error. Okay, so as you can see, this progress bar keeps moving as I progress my data entry. Yeah, so because I don't own the range and therefore I cannot install sensors, analysis based on data entry is about the best that we can go. So if one day I actually own a range, I can install sensors, then this app can perhaps be fully automated. Yep, so actually that's all, and thanks for listening.